Last time on this What If. The ambush at Mount Paozu ended in disaster when Vegeta's pride broke formation, allowing Android 17 to escape with his deactivated sister. Now, Bulma reveals Goku's only coordinates home are locked inside 18's memory. Will the Resistance be able to recover her in time, or will Goku be stranded in the future while Mecha Frieza and King Cold conquer his unprotected Earth? With Vegeta captured in a deadly underground trap, Krillin must execute a tense hostage exchange to shut down Android 17 once and for all. The explosive finale to the Android War begins now. Smoke still climbed from Mount Paozu when Bulma called the Resistance back to the command shelter. Trunks sat beside the map table with his ribs wrapped and his broken sword resting against the wall. Gohan's torn gi carried dried blood across one shoulder. Piccolo stood near the entrance, watching Vegeta remain apart from the others. Android 17 had escaped with the deactivated 18 less than an hour earlier, yet every fighter in the room understood that chasing him blindly would repeat the same failure. Bulma activated the planning table and projected a map of Earth above it. Vegeta stepped into the blue light before she could speak.
We are finished pretending this is a question of strength.
Vegeta pointed first at Goku, then at Gohan.
Kakarot and his son have surpassed those machines. 18 is already inert, and 17 cannot defeat all of us. We could corner him and end this war before sunset.
No one challenged the assessment. Gohan had measured 18's strength throughout the battle and concealed enough power to guide her toward Trunks. Goku had forced 17 to abandon their duel and threaten evacuation routes. The balance of power had finally shifted toward Earth's defenders. Gohan rested his hand against the table.
You're right. If 17 stood in front of us and fought, we could kill him.
Piccolo moved one marker away from the others. It represented 17, though the map could no longer show his position.
Which means he won't stand in front of us and fight.
Goku leaned over the display. Several evacuation routes still flashed beside Mount Paozu.
We saw what he does when he starts losing. He leaves the fight, attacks everyone around us, and makes us chase his blasts.
Trunks shifted against his bandages and placed a second marker beside the first. It represented 18.
And once he disappears, we can't sense where he went. He could hide both of them anywhere on Earth.
The artificial energy inside 17 and 18 left no trail for Goku, Gohan, or Piccolo to follow. A direct assault could begin with overwhelming force and end with 17 escaping through smoke, rubble, or an underground route. He could fire into a settlement before fleeing. He could relocate 18 before the Resistance reached her. He could abandon her inside a hidden facility and refuse to reveal where. Every option forced the stronger fighters to divide their attention. Vegeta studied the scattered markers and folded his arms. Raw power had solved the easiest part of the conflict. The android's refusal to offer a clean battle remained. Bulma slid the map aside and placed a cracked silver wafer beneath the projector. The damaged surface caught the light in uneven bands. Trunks had recovered it from the temporal probe moments before destroying the core during the satellite facility operation.
Before anybody leaves this room, there's something you need to understand about 18.
Lines of code unfolded above the table. Some remained intact, others dissolved into blocks of corrupted symbols. Goku recognized the outline of the spacecraft that had carried him from Yardrat. Beside it hovered a partial model of the field that had torn him out of age 764. Trunks pointed toward the fractured projection.
If you still have the core data, isn't the prototype enough to send him back? We just need him to arrive the exact moment he left.
The machine could throw him into the time stream, yes, but the coordinates are shredded. A blind jump won't guarantee he lands in age 764, let alone the exact second.
Bulma separated the surviving information into 4 columns. The first described the geometry of the probe's extraction field. The second contained a fragment of the temporal branch signature. The third recorded Goku's biological mass crossing into age 780. The final column held broken return telemetry, with entire sections missing.
Trunks saved part of the probe's telemetry. It tells me how the extraction field opened and gives me part of the branch signature.
Goku looked from the data to her face.
So you can send me back?
Bulma pressed one key. Half the projected path vanished.
No, I have half a road.
A red access trace appeared inside the missing target lock block. Someone had opened that section before Trunks destroyed the probe. Bulma enlarged the trace and displayed the receiver identification 18 had extracted while studying the machine. She had installed a transmitter, reconstructed part of its capsule corp encryption, and learned enough to trace its origin to future Bulma. Her work had gone deeper than the Resistance realized.
18 examined the age 764 target block. She may have copied it, stored it somewhere else, or memorized part of the sequence.
Trunks stared at the incomplete route.
And 18 has the other half.
Exactly. Without what she copied or remembers, Goku doesn't have a way home.
The room grew still around the projection. Android 18 had become several things at once. She remained a deactivated prisoner, protected by the containment rules. She remained 17's central concern. Her knowledge of Gero's systems could expose threats the Resistance had yet to discover. Now she also carried the only known information capable of distinguishing Goku's source branch from countless temporal alternatives. Bulma could open an unstable passage using the telemetry she possessed. She could not guarantee where it would lead. Sending Goku through a guest connection could strand him on another Earth, leave him drifting in empty space, or drop him into a timeline where the battle has already been lost. Vegeta turned toward Goku.
Then explain why this world should lose more lives returning Kakarot to another one.
Bulma shut down the projection of Earth and replaced it with a date, age 764. A smaller image displayed Mecha Frieza and King Cold approaching the planet.
My probe physically removed him 3 days before Frieza arrived. If his branch kept moving without him, we may have taken its strongest defender at the worst possible moment.
Goku touched the side of the medical bandage around his forearm.
You shouldn't risk everybody just to send me back.
Bulma planted both hands on the table. A black smudge from the damaged telemetry wafer marked one of her fingers.
We didn't borrow you, Goku. We stole you from another Earth 3 days before Frieza arrived. If that world kept moving without you, we may have left it to die.
Goku lowered his hand. The family he had left in age 764 had experienced only his absence, with no warning and no way to understand it. Young Gohan could be waiting for a father whose ship never landed. Chi-Chi could be watching the sky while Frieza's forces closed on Earth. The future Resistance had gained its greatest fighter by creating a wound in another branch. Gohan placed 3 markers at the center of the table.
Then we define the mission before anyone moves.
He touched the first marker.
We locate 18 and recover her intact.
His finger moved to the second.
We deactivate 17 before he escapes or attacks civilians.
The third represented the damaged temporal probe.
Then we preserve the information Bulma needs and return Dad to his branch.
He looked around the shelter.
Civilian survival overrides all 3.
The lethal force provision remained active. If 17 created an immediate mass casualty threat and capture became impossible, Gohan would authorize his death. That authority carried a cost. Killing 17 before locating 18 could leave her hidden beneath a ruined city, sealed inside an underground facility, or connected to equipment only 17 understood. The Resistance could win the fight and lose their prisoner, their temporal witness, and Goku's road home during the same attack. Piccolo picked up the controller Krillin still carried inside the false Senzu pouch.
The controller gives us something strength doesn't. An immediate ending.
Successful synchronization would shut 17 down within seconds. It would prevent an extended pursuit, deny him time to target evacuation routes, and remove the need to sense his artificial energy after he fled. A clean shutdown would also protect 18 from crossfire and preserve whatever information she carried. Vegeta examined the small device in Piccolo's hand.
Then stop calling this a battle. It is a capture operation.
Gohan met his stare across the table.
Exactly.
Killing 17 remained the simplest objective available. Earth needed a result broad enough to save civilians, recover 18, and repair the damage done to Goku's branch. Bulma began assigning search grids, yet Vegeta had already turned toward the shelter exit. He took a Capsule Corp diagnostic unit from an equipment crate and fastened it to his damaged armor. The device could detect power systems compatible with Gero's artificial reactors, along with machinery capable of maintaining or transporting an inactive android. Trunks watched him inspect the unit.
Where are you going?
Vegeta opened the outer door. Cold mountain air moved through the shelter.
To find the machine I allowed to escape.
Gohan ordered him to remain. Vegeta continued into the trees without answering. He had accepted the need for intelligence, so he did not fly toward the nearest ruined city and challenge 17 publicly. Instead, He reviewed reports of industrial raids, stolen electrical components, abandoned repair facilities, and underground military positions. Android 17 needed stable power, diagnostic equipment, and a defensible location where 18 could be held. Any future attempt to coerce Bulma would also require a place capable of containing her long enough to restore the reactor. Vegeta's reasoning was credible. His refusal to coordinate made every correct conclusion more dangerous. Trunks refused to justify his father's departure. He still helped reconstruct Vegeta's probable search pattern. On Bulma's larger map, he highlighted facilities with underground access, intact power grids, and multiple defensive routes.
He'll eliminate anything exposed to aerial attack. He'll look for places where one fighter can control every entrance.
Piccolo marked a chain of former Capsule Corp depots. Krillin added red ribbon storage sites. Gohan dispatched passive observers toward each location and forbade direct contact. Far ahead of them, Vegeta crossed the ruined landscape alone, determined to return with 17's position before anyone could accuse him of waiting while others repaired his failure. Near sunset, the diagnostic unit captured a Capsule Corp maintenance signal from an abandoned robotics facility beneath a collapsed industrial district. The signal identified equipment compatible with 18's reactor. Vegeta landed behind a broken transport hangar and reduced his energy until his aura disappeared. The streets held no fresh footprints. Dust covered the upper doors, while the underground ventilation system continued releasing warm air. Vegeta scanned the signal again. One data packet used an outdated Capsule Corp header. Another repeated at intervals too precise for damaged machinery. The bait had been prepared for Bulma or anyone carrying her equipment. Vegeta entered anyway. The trap itself confirmed that 17 had studied Capsule Corp's search methods. He moved through the first corridor without touching the floor, checked every junction, and placed a sliver of white armor inside a cracked wall seam. The diagnostic signal strengthened near a freight elevator. Its interior had been reinforced, its control panel deliberately left functional. Vegeta descended one level before the lift locked around him. Charges detonated overhead. The shaft collapsed, sealing the route to the surface. Android 17's voice emerged from a speaker hidden behind the wall.
I was hoping Bulma would come. You'll do.
Vegeta tore through the elevator doors before the floor reached the lower level. Android 17 attacked from the darkness and drove him through a support column. Vegeta recovered in the air, twisted beneath the next strike, and slammed his heel into 17's neck. The blow sent the android through two machinery bays. Golden energy filled the corridor when Vegeta transformed. He followed with a controlled volley that destroyed cameras, sealed side passages, and preserved the main exit behind him. 4 months inside the chamber had increased his speed and sharpened every movement. Android 17 rose from the wreckage with a thin line of blood beneath his nose. The facility had been rebuilt around the engagement. Low ceilings restricted flight. Sliding blast doors broke sightlines. Narrow turns prevented Vegeta from using large attacks without burying himself. Each time he gained enough distance to withdraw, 17 triggered another barrier and forced him deeper underground. Vegeta refused the invitation to trade blows indefinitely. He struck only to create openings and repeatedly moved toward the exits. Android 17 noticed the change.
You ran toward me the last time.
Vegeta blasted a door from its tracks.
You were more interesting before I understood you.
The exchange continued through machine rooms and coolant tunnels. Vegeta created 3 chances to escape. The first ended when a ceiling charge collapsed the route. The second revealed an armored door connected to a civilian power conduit above the district. Destroying it could ignite the settlement's remaining fuel reserve. During the third, Android 17 seized Vegeta's boot and pulled him away from a ventilation shaft. Vegeta's chamber training kept him alive and prevented the android from dominating the battle. It could not drain 17's reactor. Every minute cost Vegeta breath, blood, and strength. The machine's output remained unchanged. Vegeta had become capable of surviving 17. Exhausting him remained impossible. After a final attempt to reach the surface failed, Vegeta drove his fingers into the damaged edge of his chest plate and snapped off another fragment. He embedded it beneath a coolant valve where Trunks would recognize the placement. Then he launched himself through the last unsealed passage. Android 17 triggered a reinforced gate ahead and attacked from behind. Vegeta struck the floor, rolled beneath a hydraulic press, and rose with one arm hanging lower than the other. Every exit had closed. The next blast forming in Vegeta's palm could have forced 17 back. It would also have left Vegeta too depleted to survive the counterattack. He let the energy disappear. Android 17 approached with both hands open, waiting for a final charge born from humiliation. Vegeta lowered his stance, gave one brief glance to the ventilation ducts, and allowed his injured leg to buckle. The decision kept him alive and placed him inside the enemy's position. Android 17 struck him once across the temple. Vegeta fell without attempting to turn the collapse into another attack. When Vegeta regained consciousness, metal restraints held him against a support column. Across the chamber, Android 18 lay unconscious inside a reinforced enclosure. Her body remained intact, her reactor inactive, and stolen diagnostic equipment displayed 17's repeated failure to awaken her. Vegeta tested the restraint with one careful movement. He could escape, but only by dislocating his shoulder, and doing so before the resistance arrived would accomplish nothing. Android 17 recorded his demands the following morning. Bulma would bring a functioning reversal device. Goku, Gohan, and Trunks would remain outside a designated perimeter. Any attack would result in Vegeta's death. Vegeta looked into the recording unit.
Surrender nothing. 18 remains exactly where this machine placed her, and she will remain there until you are prepared.
His pauses followed an old Capsule Corp emergency code. When the recording reached Mount Paozu, Bulma isolated the cadence. The hidden message was brief. 18 was alive, intact, inactive, and inside the same facility. Vegeta's energy and the armor marker found near the entrance confirmed the location. He had provided the information the resistance needed. He had not escaped his mistake, but he had prevented it from becoming a blind assault. Bulma worked through the night. She could construct a device capable of restoring 18's reactor at close range, though awakening the android carried obvious risks. Gohan approved the attempt under strict conditions. Physical containment had to be established first. The chamber required independent restraints, reactor isolation, and a separate emergency shutdown system. Android 17 could have no direct route to her after reactivation. Bulma placed 5 identical restoration units on her workbench. Only one contained a functioning core. Goku inspected the row of devices.
The offer has to be real.
Bulma tightened the casing on the genuine unit.
It is. If he accepts the terms, I can wake her.
4 decoys carried the same weight, lights, and external wiring. Even Piccolo could not identify the working device by sight. Bulma encoded the genuine system to respond only to her handprint and voice. Krillin checked Controller 17 inside the false Senzu pouch, then concealed it beneath a set of technical tools. His role required him to stand within a few steps of an opponent who could kill him before a second command began. Gohan built the rescue around the few facts they could confirm. Vegeta's energy gave Goku a location. His message established that 18 remained inside, and that 17 had failed to awaken her. Bulma and Piccolo would enter openly. Krillin would accompany them with Controller 17. Goku, Gohan, and Trunks would surround the facility and close every escape route. If the negotiation failed, Vegeta's only required task was to recognize the opening and prevent 17 from reaching Krillin. Trunks looked toward Goku.
Once we know where Father is, couldn't you teleport directly to him?
Goku touched 2 fingers to his forehead and focused. Vegeta's key remained detectable beneath the industrial district, damaged and controlled. It provided a clear target. The rest of the facility remained blank. Goku could sense Piccolo, Krillin, Gohan, and Trunks. Android 17, Android 18, the machines around them, and every possible trap produced nothing he could follow. Piccolo folded the facility map.
And arrive without knowing whether 17 connected the building to 18's reactor?
Goku lowered his hand.
I could get inside. I couldn't guarantee what happens 1 second later.
A teleportation rescue might save Vegeta while prompting 17 to move 18, damage her memory systems, collapse the facility, or escape through a route Goku could not sense. Instant transmission offered entry. Control of the room still depended on information, timing, and restraint. Goku agreed to remain outside unless the operation failed completely. Before departure, Gohan repeated the plan's 3 layers. Bulma's offer to restore 18 was genuine. Krillin secretly carried the controller. If the negotiation failed, Vegeta would have to prevent 17 from reaching Krillin. No message could safely reveal every detail to him. He would have to recognize the opening when it appeared. Gohan placed his hand on Trunks' shoulder.
If your father's key drops, you stay in position until I release you.
Trunks pulled the Capsule Corp jacket closed over his bandages.
Then you stop me if I move.
Goku studied the positions Gohan had assigned. Years earlier, he would have explained the plan while his young son waited to follow him. Now Gohan carried responsibility for everyone approaching the facility.
You're sure about this?
Gohan looked down at the map.
No, I'm sure it gives everyone the best chance of coming back alive.
Goku accepted the answer with a nod.
Then I'll follow your lead.
The exchange began beneath a sky stripped of clouds. Bulma approached the facility in an armored transport carrying 5 restoration units and 1 empty containment chamber. Piccolo walked beside the vehicle with his cape removed and both hands visible. Krillin wore a gray maintenance coat, protective goggles, and a tool harness that concealed the false Senzu pouch. Outside the perimeter, Goku waited on the western ridge. Gohan covered the eastern tunnel. Trunks remained closest to the main entrance, near enough to sense Vegeta, and far enough to keep the agreement intact. King Kai's voice entered the minds of the known operatives. He told them he could keep all of them connected, but warned that he still could not locate either android, so they should not ask him where 17 was standing. Piccolo acknowledged with a small movement of 2 fingers. Krillin adjusted the strap across his chest. Vegeta's key waited below them, faint and bruised. Android 17 opened the external gate remotely and directed Bulma's transport down the freight ramp. The door sealed behind them. Bulma entered the central chamber with Piccolo on her right and Krillin pushing the restoration units behind her. Vegeta remained restrained beside a support column. His armor had been broken across the chest, and one side of his face was swollen. Android 18 lay behind reinforced glass inside the adjacent enclosure. Android 17 stood between the 2 prisoners. His hand rested near Vegeta's neck.
You brought Namekian security.
You asked me to restore someone who could tear me in half. I brought insurance.
Bulma displayed the independent containment chamber she had brought. Its walls included reactor isolation, mechanical restraints, and protected audio between separate cells.
Here's the sequence. Vegeta is released. You enter this chamber. I begin restoring 18. She wakes after both containment systems are sealed. You'll be able to speak to her.
Android 17 walked around the chamber and inspected every visible seam.
And then you let us go?
No. You survive. Your confinement gets reviewed. Both of you receive the same protections.
Android 17 looked through the glass at 18. Her hands remained open beside her body, unmoving beneath the diagnostic cables. He glanced toward Piccolo, then toward the freight doors beyond which Goku and Gohan waited. He knew enough about their new strength to understand the danger of open combat. Bulma's offer provided a route to 18's recovery and guaranteed that the resistance would keep them alive. For several seconds, his hand left Vegeta's neck. His attention settled on the empty containment chamber. The possibility of surrender remained until 17 examined the locking mechanism. He stepped away.
Wake her first.
Bulma shook her head.
You enter containment first.
I'm supposed to trust you while she's unconscious?
And I'm supposed to reactivate her while you can tear through this room?
Neither side moved. The protected path required 17 to surrender control before seeing his sister awake. Coercion still felt safer to him. Android 17 began studying Bulma instead of the chamber. She had checked 18's cranial monitors before looking at the reactor. When Krillin rolled the restoration units closer, Bulma positioned herself between 17 and the equipment connected to 18's memory systems. Her attention revealed value beyond the inactive reactor.
You need something from her.
Bulma kept both hands visible.
I need her alive.
You need more than that.
Android 17 moved behind Vegeta and tightened one arm around the Saiyan's throat.
If this exchange fails, I move her. A different facility, a different continent. You'll never find her again.
The threat carried greater force than a promise to destroy 18. Her restoration remained his goal, so killing her would damage his own position. Hiding her was credible. Neither sibling could be sensed. A careless attack could send 17 into the ruins, with the only prisoner who knew Goku's temporal address. Vegeta raised his head and interrupted before 17 could question Bulma further.
You have spent years declaring yourself free, yet every choice still circles your sister. Gero replaced your chains with a single weakness.
Android 17 turned toward him. The provocation pulled his focus away from Bulma's interest in the memory systems. Vegeta continued, until 17 drove a knee into his spine. The restraint column rang from the impact. Outside the facility, Trunks felt his father's key drop. Trunks crossed the first boundary marker before he realized his feet had moved. Gohan appeared in front of him and caught the front of his jacket.
He's hurting him!
That's what 17 wants us to react to.
Trunks tried to pull free. Gohan held him with one hand and kept his voice low.
You asked me to stop you when the mission mattered more than the impulse.
Trunks looked past him toward the sealed facility. His boots moved back behind the boundary line. Goku sensed the same decline in Vegeta's energy and remained on the western ridge. His fingers hovered near his forehead without touching it. Inside, Bulma refused to reveal which restoration unit worked. Android 17 struck Vegeta again and demanded the genuine device. Bulma lifted one unit, examined its indicator, and returned it to the cart among the others.
Release him and enter containment.
The answer did not change. Krillin moved between the restoration units under the pretense of checking their signal output. Each adjustment brought him closer to 17. Vegeta noticed the false Senzu pouch beneath the maintenance harness. Its position and Krillin's measured steps matched the close-range controller simulations Piccolo had used inside the chamber. Vegeta understood the delivery method. He stopped pulling against the restraints and allowed his body to sag against the column. Android 17 mistook the change for exhaustion. Krillin reached the edge of synchronization range. Vegeta shifted one knee outward and forced 17 to adjust his grip. The movement brought the android half a step closer. Krillin opened a technical panel, exposing the concealed controller without lifting it into view. The first identification light appeared. King Kai passed the timing to Piccolo and Bulma, announcing that the signal had been acquired. Vegeta heard none of the device's electronics, yet Krillin's stillness told him the countdown had begun. Android 17 looked from Krillin to the row of restoration units. His expression changed when he remembered how 18 had been disabled. If Bulma had reconstructed one shutdown command, she could have reconstructed another. He released Vegeta, crossed the room in a blur, and struck at all 5 restoration units with an energy wave. Bulma threw herself over the genuine device. Her body identified it before any explanation could. Piccolo intercepted the attack with both arms. The blast drove him through the floor plating and bent the support beneath him. 4 decoy units shattered across the chamber. Bulma held the genuine device against her chest, while fragments passed over her. Krillin pulled Controller 17 from the false pouch and began full synchronization. The second indicator lit. Android 17 saw his movement, abandoned the restoration device, and turned toward him. Goku, Gohan, and Trunks heard King Kai's warning from outside. None of them entered. Their sudden arrival would open new routes through the room, interrupt Krillin's focus, and give 17 stronger targets to use as cover. Android 17 crossed the distance toward Krillin. Vegeta drove his right shoulder against the restraint. Bone slipped from its joint with a dull crack. The reduced width allowed his arm to tear free. Vegeta launched himself between 17 and Krillin. The android's fist struck him beneath the ribs and lifted him from the floor. Vegeta wrapped both arms around 17's torso before falling. His dislocated shoulder folded under the pressure. He locked one wrist against the other and planted both boots against a broken support. Android 17 struck backward into Vegeta's face. The grip remained closed.
Hurry it up! Finish it!
Krillin held the controller toward them. The third synchronization light flashed. Android 17 drove Vegeta against the column, shattering the remaining restraint and tearing armor from his back. Vegeta used the impact to hook one leg around 17's knee. He made no attempt to form a blast or seize the final strike. His entire effort went into keeping the android inside the controller's range.
You'll die with me.
Then waste less time talking.
Android 17 spread both hands. A sphere of artificial energy expanded around his body, filling the chamber with green-white light. The blast threatened Vegeta, Krillin, Bulma, the genuine restoration device, and 18's enclosure. Piccolo rose from the broken floor and formed the first barrier around it. A second curved above the machinery. The third sealed the side facing 18. Cracks raced across every layer, while Piccolo redirected the swelling force toward the freight shaft. King Kai carried Gohan's warning to the western ridge.
Dad, take it above the atmosphere. I'll protect the ground.
Gohan raised a barrier over the surrounding district, shielding the abandoned streets and the civilians beyond them from falling debris. Goku touched 2 fingers to his forehead. He used instant transmission to appear above the rupturing facility and prepared to drive Piccolo's redirected energy higher into the sky. Trunks remained at the entrance with the containment unit, waiting for Krillin's confirmation before moving. The ceiling split open. Light erupted upward through the industrial district, carrying molten steel and concrete into the sky. Goku met the redirected force above the facility and drove it beyond the clouds while Gohan's barrier caught the falling wreckage below. Inside, the barrier nearest Piccolo fractured across his forearms. Krillin kept the controller level. The final indicator turned green. Controller 17 transmitted the shutdown command. Android 17's reactor stopped. The expanding sphere collapsed into a spray of fading sparks. His arms fell away from Vegeta's grip, and his body folded toward the floor. Vegeta remained standing long enough to control the descent. Android 17 lay unconscious beside his boots. The prince could have driven one blast through him before anyone intervened. His hand stayed open and empty. Trunks entered only after Krillin confirmed the shutdown. He crossed the room, checked Vegeta first, and then secured 17 inside the independent containment unit. Mechanical restraints closed around the android's arms, legs, and torso. Bulma scanned 18's enclosure. Her body remained intact. The genuine reversal device had survived. No destructive command had reached her memory architecture. Every primary objective remained recoverable. Goku and Gohan entered the chamber seconds later. Goku supported Piccolo, while the Namekian regenerated damage across both arms. Gohan checked the freight routes for traps and verified that no civilian power systems had been compromised. Vegeta sat against the broken restraint column, while Trunks forced the dislocated shoulder back into position. The joint locked with a hard movement. Vegeta's fingers flexed once. He looked toward the chamber containing 18 and confirmed that she still lay there. After 17 had been secured, Vegeta remained beside the broken restraint column while Trunks braced his injured shoulder.
I wasn't about to let that piece of scrap escape twice.
He offered no defense and described none of his actions inside the facility as heroism. Trunks tightened the brace.
You protected Krillin. Thank you.
Vegeta answered with a small nod. Piccolo restored Vegeta to defensive duty, but kept him excluded from decisions concerning the prisoners.
You protected the operation when it mattered. That earns you a place in the formation again. It doesn't erase what happened.
Vegeta accepted the restriction without argument. Respect had been partially restored. Absolution had not. Before either android was transferred into long-term containment, Bulma performed a complete internal scan. The shutdown codes governed their artificial reactors, but 2 additional structures appeared beneath the modified tissue inside their chests. Each contained an explosive compound surrounding an independent detonation circuit. The devices were separate from the reactors and had not been disabled by the controllers. Bulma enlarged the scan above the laboratory table.
These aren't power sources. They're bombs.
Krillin stared at the 2 images.
Garo put explosives inside them?
Probably as insurance in case they rebelled. The shutdown command put them to sleep. It didn't remove this.
Bulma found connections leading into Garo's internal control architecture, but no surviving file explained every activation condition. The bombs may have required an external command. They may have contained emergency triggers connected to catastrophic damage. They may have remained inert without Garo's destroyed remote system. None of those possibilities could be trusted inside a prison overlooking the surviving settlements. Piccolo examined the circuit model.
Can 17 or 18 activate them themselves?
I don't know. I also don't know whether destroying one circuit could trigger the other. I'm not waking 18 to ask, and I'm not cutting into either of them while those charges are still active.
Gohan looked toward the separate containment units.
Then neither android is reactivated until the bombs are gone.
The decision was not an act of mercy alone. A detonation could kill the technicians, breach both containment systems, damage 18's temporal memory, and destroy the only data capable of returning Goku home. Even if the explosives could not destroy Earth, they could still erase everything the operation had recovered. Krillin looked through the laboratory window toward the lookout. Piccolo's resurrection had restored Kami and reactivated Earth's Dragon Balls. The Resistance had preserved them for a genuine emergency. 2 explosive devices embedded inside their prisoners and connected to systems Bulma could not safely dismantle, qualified.
We don't have to cut them out.
Bulma followed his gaze.
We have the Dragon Balls.
The 7 Dragon Balls were gathered under Kami's supervision. When Shenron appeared above the lookout, Krillin made the request precise enough to protect the android's reactors, memories, and human tissue.
Shenron, remove every explosive device Dr. Gero implanted inside androids 17 and 18. Don't damage them or alter anything else inside their bodies.
Shenron's eyes illuminated the clouds. Light passed through both containment units. Two compact explosive assemblies appeared on an empty section of the laboratory floor, separated from every living and mechanical system they had once touched. Shenron granted the wish. Bulma immediately sealed the devices inside independent capsules. She confirmed that neither reactor, shutdown code, memory system, nor biological organ had been altered. Gero's final safeguard against his rebellious creations had been removed before either prisoner awakened. With both explosive devices removed, Android 18 was transferred to a newly prepared chamber at the lookout. Independent power supplied her restraints, reactor isolation, and emergency suspension field. Android 17 occupied a separate unit beyond several reinforced barriers. Neither system shared a control channel with the other. Bulma placed the genuine reversal device against 18's access port. Gohan, Goku, Piccolo, Krillin, and Trunks observed from behind the protected glass. Vegeta remained outside the chamber. Bulma activated the device. Light moved through the conduits attached to 18's arms and neck. Her fingers twitched against the restraints. The reactor monitor climbed from 0, stabilized below combat output, and locked behind the isolation field. Android 18 opened her eyes. She tested one wrist, felt the mechanical restraint hold, and turned toward the adjacent monitor. Android 17 appeared on the screen, unconscious inside a separate chamber. Her attention stayed on him until the display confirmed that his reactor remained intact. Goku stepped toward the communication panel.
You're both alive! Nobody here is going to execute you!
Android 18 looked past him and found Gohan standing at the rear of the room. Goku continued.
You won't be released while you can go back to killing people. If you cooperate, the conditions can change. If you refuse, nobody's going to torture you or kill you while you can't fight back.
Android 18 pulled once against the restraint and studied every person behind the glass. Gohan approached the panel. His missing sleeve hung beside his body.
I'm not offering forgiveness. I'm promising that we follow the rules we established.
Android 18's gaze moved to the outer doorway, where Vegeta stood beyond the threshold. She remembered his blast at Mount Paozu.
Does that include him?
Gohan answered without looking back.
He has no authority over your confinement.
Her shoulders lowered by a fraction. Distrust remained the correct response. Bulma activated the projection of the corrupted temporal wafer. Its broken route appeared on the glass between them.
So that's what you were protecting.
Bulma enlarged the missing target lock block.
You accessed this section before Trunks destroyed the probe.
Android 18 watched the incomplete geometry rotate.
You destroyed the machine. I didn't.
You made a copy?
Not enough to use it. Enough to understand where it came from.
Android 18 confirmed that she had retained the Age 764 target lock, the probe's receiver identification, and part of the extraction sequence. A data copy had been hidden inside an old Capsule Corp satellite cache before the surface laboratory was destroyed. She also remembered how the probe's return field interacted with Goku's Yardrat spacecraft during the collision. Bulma compared each detail with Trunks' wafer. The missing blocks began aligning.
Trunks saved the road. You saved the address.
Android 18 demanded a formal commitment before revealing the cache location and complete sequence. Android 17 would receive eventual monitored reactivation once secure containment had been established. He would not remain permanently suspended without review. The same survival protections offered to her would apply to him. Gohan agreed to record those conditions. He refused any plan that placed them in the same chamber.
You expect me to trust you while he can't speak for himself.
I expect the agreement to survive, whether you trust us or not.
Trunks entered every term into the containment record. Krillin witnessed the agreement. Cammy observed through the Lookout's communication system. Android 18 provided the cache coordinates, access sequence, and the missing target data. Bulma recovered the copy using a remote Capsule Corp unit. The information matched 18's memory and the surviving telemetry. Neither source offered a complete journey by itself. Together, they reopened the original connection. Reconstruction consumed several weeks. Bulma combined Trunks' corrupted wafer, 18's copied target lock, the remembered extraction sequence, surviving probe components, Goku's account of his spacecraft trajectory, and the biological signature recorded during his transfer. The machine that emerged bore little resemblance to a conventional time machine. A circular platform surrounded Goku's damaged Yardrat pod components. Cables fed into a temporal ring built around the probe's surviving receiver. Bulma tested the equations repeatedly. The connection remained keyed to the specific branch from which Goku had been removed. It could not select arbitrary dates, create new destinations, or send another traveler into a chosen future. The system functioned as a return tether, reversing the original extraction through Goku's biological signature. Once he crossed, the remaining temporal fuel would collapse the path. The machine had one journey in it, and Goku had to travel alone. The target point could be placed close to the original extraction event. Precision still had limits. Goku might reappear seconds or minutes from the moment he vanished, and his position could shift relative to the spacecraft's original trajectory. Bulma added emergency shielding and programmed the tether to avoid returning him inside solid matter. Every safeguard consumed more of the remaining fuel. When the final test stabilized, a single green indicator appeared above the platform. Goku finally had a road home. During the weeks Bulma spent rebuilding the return tether, Goku joined Gohan on settlement patrols and reconstruction flights. They no longer trained as a father teaching his young son. They compared decisions as two defenders responsible for different Earths. Gohan showed him the warning network being established across the surviving settlements. Goku listened as his son explained what the future would require after the fighting ended. Neither spoke often about the approaching departure, but both understood that their remaining time had become finite. Earth still lacked a functioning government, capable of judging or securely holding the androids. The resistance created temporary containment oversight. Kami observed from the lookout. Bulma controlled the suspension and reactor isolation technology. Gohan represented survivor security. Krillin served as an independent witness. Trunks recorded each decision and agreement. Piccolo established breach procedures and retained authority to order an emergency withdrawal. Vegeta contributed to the prison's outer defenses while remaining excluded from punishment, interrogation, and reactivation decisions. The arrangement claimed no completeness. Survivor settlements would eventually need representatives, evidence, testimony, and a formal process for deciding the android's future. Until then, 17 and 18 remained separately contained under documented conditions. Bulma rebuilt every control system without relying on undocumented red ribbon architecture. The prison included independent barriers and evacuation routes designed to protect nearby civilians during a breach. On the morning of Goku's departure, Bulma stopped him beside the temporal platform. She carried a sealed metal case smaller than the data capsules stacked around her laboratory. Goku had already said goodbye to the workers and checked the return system twice under Bulma's supervision. She opened the case and removed a vial filled with pale medicine. A separate data capsule rested beneath it. Goku recognized neither. Bulma tossed the vial toward him. His hand caught it before his eyes left her face. Bulma explained that medical science had developed a treatment for the heart virus after native future Goku died. She had reconstructed one sealed dose from surviving records and supplies. The data capsule contained the formula, his future counterpart's medical history, the expected symptoms, and instructions allowing her younger self to reproduce the treatment.
You're going to need that. When the symptoms start, you take it immediately. No training through it, no waiting to see if it goes away, and no deciding that a senzu bean will fix everything.
Goku held the vial up to the laboratory light. The medicine inside had arrived years too late for the oldest friend Bulma had buried. Now she was placing it in the hands of the version who still had time.
You really thought of everything.
Bulma locked the empty case and pushed it under one arm. A wink interrupted the strain around her face.
Someone had to. Don't make another me build a time machine because you're terrible at following instructions.
Goku sealed the vial and data capsule inside a protected pouch. He repeated the instructions back to her. Preserve the medicine, deliver the formula to his Bulma, recognize the symptoms, and take the dose the moment they appeared. Bulma corrected him twice until every step was exact. Her future had lost Goku to an illness none of them understood in time. The source branch would receive the warning before the first pain reached his chest. Chi-Chi waited outside the laboratory near the lookout's garden. She had brought food for the journey despite knowing the temporal crossing would last only moments from Goku's perspective. He accepted the wrapped meal and tied it to his belt.
Your wife is waiting 16 years ago.
Goku looked toward the rebuilt horizon below.
I know.
Chi-Chi straightened the edge of his gi, where it had folded beneath the medicine pouch. Her fingers remained there for 1 second. Goku repeated the promise he had made at Mount Paozu.
When everything here is really safe, you won't be left alone.
Chi-Chi searched his face for an explanation. He offered none. The native Goku of this timeline remained dead. and any attempt to restore him belonged to the future after the war, rather than the visitor preparing to leave. Chi-Chi interpreted the words as comfort and allowed them to remain that.
Go home before your other family has to wait any longer.
Trunks met Goku beside the temporal platform. During 1 year inside the chamber, Gohan had taught him to survive the androids. During the days after Goku's arrival, Goku had taught the Resistance how much strength could grow without rage consuming every hour. Now Trunks faced the departure of another mentor. Goku placed both hands on his shoulders.
You don't need me to finish rebuilding this place.
Trunks looked toward Gohan, Bulma, and the sealed containment wing.
That doesn't make watching you leave easy.
Vegeta waited near the edge of the platform. His shoulder remained bound beneath repaired armor. He and Goku looked at one another without challenge, insult, or promise of another fight. Goku had witnessed the prince break his own body to preserve a plan. Vegeta had watched Kakarot prepare to surrender his place in this future because another Earth needed him.
Frieza will be waiting at your destination. Do not embarrass our race by showing him mercy.
Goku grinned and touched the medicine pouch beneath his clothing.
I'll take care of him, and I've got this, so I'll be sticking around a lot longer.
Bulma gave Goku one final set of instructions for her younger counterpart. Time travel created branches. Saving one Earth could not erase the suffering of another. Dr. Gero's android projects required complete investigation, including concealed laboratories and biological research. Every recovered system had to be checked for hidden connections.
Tell her the first thing she finds may not be the last thing he built.
Goku nodded. The warning would reach age 764 years before Gero released his creations. Future Gohan approached last. He had entered the story as the surviving son Goku barely recognized. One arm gone, his childhood buried beneath 13 years of war. Their year inside the chamber, and the weeks after the android's capture had rebuilt the bond between them, without returning either man to the roles they once held. Goku extended his hand. Gohan took it. Their grip held between two adults. Gohan spoke.
I'm not asking you to stay.
Goku looked toward the scar crossing his son's face.
There's another Gohan waiting for you. Another mom, too. Keeping you here would make them pay for what happened to us.
Goku's thumb pressed once against Gohan's knuckles.
What happened to you is going to change how I raise him.
Future Gohan released his hand. The promise carried no claim that pain could be undone. It gave that pain influence over a childhood still unfolding. The temporal ring activated. Pale arcs traveled around its circumference and converged above the platform. Bulma monitored the branch signature, while 18's target lock aligned with Trunks' telemetry. The machine recognized Goku's biological signature. A narrow passage opened, showing a distorted field of stars and the curved edge of his returning spacecraft. Warning lights appeared across the control panel. The tether had begun consuming its one-use fuel. Goku stepped onto the platform and looked back once. Chi-Chi stood beside Gohan. Trunks remained near Bulma's console. Piccolo and Krillin watched from the containment corridor. Vegeta held his injured arm against his side near the outer wall. This future no longer needed a visitor to serve as its permanent defender. Goku raised two fingers in farewell. Then the extraction field closed around him. Light compressed toward the center of the platform. Goku's body disappeared with the equipment keyed to the transfer. The temporal ring fractured behind him, each section burning out in sequence. Bulma watched the source branch signal continue across the final monitor. It stabilized for less than a second and then vanished beyond any signal she could follow. The platform fell silent. No fuel remained for a second journey. Goku emerged inside the cramped cockpit of his spacecraft in age 764. The instrument panel showed only moments had passed since the probe appeared. The damaged temporal field released his ship at nearly the same position and trajectory from which it had been taken. Earth filled the forward viewport. Two immense powers approached the planet from another direction. Goku recognized Frieza immediately. No unfamiliar Super Saiyan waited on Earth. No time traveler had arrived to defeat the invaders or deliver a warning about the androids. This source branch would never receive the canonical mission because its Trunks had no reason to make it. Goku touched the medicine pouch, confirmed the vial had survived, and placed two fingers against his forehead. Frieza's energy gave him a target far stronger than any human signature below. Instant transmission carried Goku from the spacecraft to a rocky plain ahead of Frieza's landing force. Mecha Frieza and King Cold descended, expecting an undefended world. Instead, the Saiyan Frieza believed had perished in the destruction of Namek, waited below in unfamiliar clothing, one hand resting casually against his hip. Frieza's mechanical eye focused on him. The confident smile across his reconstructed face broke at the edges, as the tyrant struggled to comprehend how the warrior was not only alive, but had reached the planet before them. Goku gave no account of the 16 years he had crossed and the future he had helped reclaim. He transformed. Golden light spread across the plain and bent the grass away from his boots. Mecha Frieza attacked first, filling the horizon with blades of energy. Goku crossed the distance before the first strike reached the ground. One blow shattered Frieza's mechanical torso. A concentrated blast erased the remaining pieces before they could fire again. King Cold drew a heavy ceremonial broadsword from beneath his cape and attempted to bargain, masking his panic with a false smile. Goku offered him one chance to leave Earth. The king answered by attacking. Goku caught the blade between two fingers, broke it near the hilt, and drove his palm forward. Golden energy carried King Cold into the sky and consumed him above the clouds. With both tyrants erased, the brief invasion ended on the rocky wasteland before it could even begin. Goku returned to his spacecraft and recovered every item future Bulma had given him. By the time he climbed from the crater, the familiar energy signatures of his friends touched down nearby. Young Gohan sprinted across the terrain and launched himself into Goku's arms, ending up hoisted securely over his father's shoulder. Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha crowded around, flooding him with questions. Krillin admitted they had been terrified, tracking Frieza's monstrous energy approaching the planet, only to feel it completely vanish the second Goku's power flared to life. Vegeta hung near the back of the group in a bright pink shirt, his arms crossed in quiet frustration at how effortlessly Kakarot had handled the threat. Goku laughed, adjusted Gohan on his shoulder, and offered Bulma a knowing smile.
It's a long story. And Bulma, you wouldn't believe the wild trip I just had.
The devastated future remained real in another branch. Its suffering had become a warning this Earth could use. Bulma examined the medical data capsule at Capsule Corp. She read the records twice, then locked the vial inside a monitored refrigeration unit. The formula described a treatment for a viral heart condition that current medicine had yet to identify. Future Goku's history listed the expected pain, breathing difficulty, exhaustion, fever, and rapid decline. Bulma began reproducing additional doses and instructed Goku to keep one with him whenever he traveled. Goku told Chi-Chi where the medicine was stored and described the symptoms in full. She wrote them down beside the telephone, then made him repeat them until he stopped treating the warning casually. Young Gohan listened from the kitchen table. The future version of himself had watched his father die from that illness before carrying Earth's defense alone. Goku spared him the most brutal details, though he refused to hide the danger itself. The medicine remained unused after Frieza's defeat. Goku continued training while Bulma monitored his health. Months later, the first symptoms struck during a sparring session. Pain spread through his chest and disrupted his breathing. His knees touched the ground before he could dismiss it as fatigue. Chi-Chi recognized the signs from the list beside the telephone. She retrieved the medicine while Gohan contacted Bulma. Goku did not return to training. He did not reach for a senzu bean or wait for the pain to pass. He swallowed the prescribed dose and allowed Bulma to monitor the treatment. Fever held him in bed while the medicine attacked the virus. Chi-Chi kept the remaining vials within reach and refused every attempt he made to stand early. The illness weakened, then disappeared from his blood. The fate that killed native future Goku failed to claim him. Future Bulma's instructions became the reason her greatest personal loss did not repeat in the source branch. Her oldest friend remained dead in age 780, yet the vials she prepared preserved another version of him, another Chi-Chi's family, and another Gohan's childhood. Goku recovered under medical supervision and returned to training only after Bulma cleared him. He carried the empty vial afterward, keeping it beside the equipment that had crossed the future with him. Long before the symptoms appeared, Goku had delivered the rest of future Bulma's warning. He told his Bulma about Dr. Gero, androids 17 and 18, the hidden shutdown architecture, and the possibility of biological research beneath the visible laboratory. He provided every technical record the future had gathered. Bulma began investigating Red Ribbon construction sites years ahead of schedule. Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Vegeta received the warning without learning Trunks' parentage. Goku refused to identify the future child who carried Bulma's name and Vegeta's blood. That truth belonged to choices his friends had yet to make. He did tell them that careless time travel created branches rather than erasing ruined worlds. Preparation could save their Earth. It could never reach backward and remove the graves Gohan had grown up beside. Bulma stored that lesson with the temporal equations and restricted access to both. The coming android threat still demanded preparation, yet Goku approached his family differently than he had in the past. Sitting at the kitchen table, he told young Gohan about his journey through time, sharing stories of incredible fighters and time machines, while carefully keeping the brutal, heavy details of his future counterpart to himself. Gohan listened with wide eyes, his Saiyan blood flaring with excitement, and immediately begged to start training with his father. Before Goku could answer, Chi-Chi slammed a stack of textbooks between them. She aggressively dismissed the idea, declaring that her son was going to be a scholar, not a punching bag for mechanical monsters. In the past, Goku might have sneaked Gohan out a window or laughed off Chi-Chi's protests entirely. This time, he stayed at the table. He acknowledged her fear, gently explaining the sheer scale of the threat and why Gohan's hidden strength was the only way to protect the peace she wanted for him. They argued until they finally reached a compromise. Goku agreed to strictly protect school hours, and Chi-Chi redrew the training schedule until studying, meals, and sleep occupied permanent ink on the page. Young Gohan got his wish to train, but Goku had finally stopped treating his son's future as a decision his strength entitled him to make alone. In age 780, the temporal platform remained dark after Goku's departure. Androids 17 and 18 occupied separate cells under transitional oversight. Vegeta assisted with the prison's external defenses while remaining barred from authority over the prisoners. Gohan and Trunks began organizing the first permanent response teams for the settlements. Piccolo watched the rebuilt warning network spread across Earth. The visitor had returned home, leaving the future in the hands of the people who had survived it. Beneath the ruins of Gero's laboratory, a sealed biological system continued drawing power. The Resistance had captured the androids, recovered Goku's path, and broken the fate waiting in his source branch. One hidden project remained untouched. Deep inside its incubation chamber, living tissue responded to the same Gero-derived architecture Bulma had reconstructed for the suspension system. The future's final enemy had begun listening. Goku has successfully returned to his timeline, crushing Frieza and changing his own destiny forever. With androids 17 and 18 securely contained, future Earth can finally begin to rebuild. But is the nightmare truly over? Deep beneath the rubble of Dr. Gero's destroyed laboratory, a secret biological weapon is drawing power and waiting to hatch. What terrifying new monster is about to step out of the shadows? Find out on the next chilling episode of this Dragon Ball What If.